What's going on, guys? This is Book hopping on for a little bit of a Sunday night scan here, heading into the week. We've obviously got a super stacked earnings calendar this week. Some pretty important tech names like Microsoft and Google on Tuesday after the bell. And then there's, just a ton of huge earnings reports taking place this week, pretty much every single day. So I believe Shoei posted that in the Discord somewhere. So you can view that earnings calendar and kind of prep yourself a little bit. There's just so many companies reporting this week, so it's kind of hard to be prepared for everything that can take place. But I did want to share a few setups I'm going to be looking at into tomorrow, really into the beginning of this week. So also to mention the 10-year yield down to 4.22 right now. So obviously still way too high. Not an ideal spot for that to be, but it's pulled back now. I think 4.35 was the high on Friday, so a little bit of a pullback there. So that's not a huge concern, huge red flag for price action early this week. It shouldn't be, at least. So something to note there, I guess, as well. And if you look at the chart I have up here, I've got RBLX, Roblox, and you can see the 43.39 price level is the green level I have marked here. It was the Friday high. And I think the reason I really like Roblox, and you guys can probably tell as well, it's a very similar setup that I like to trade a lot. It's this super high volume move up here, and really here too. Like, big picture wise, the Roblox volume patterns as a whole, I think, are very healthy. You see over here, large volume moves up, low volume pullback, large volume move up. So I think as a whole, the volume patterns are pretty healthy on RBLX. And locally too as well, right here, this high volume move up right here, followed by 4 days in a row here of really a bull flag type pattern. Because if you kind of have to imagine on this gap up pattern here, there's a price gap, but if you just imagined that as a whole candle and as a flagpole, it's a very textbook bull flag in my opinion on Roblox. And so I'm going to be watching that 43.39 price level here. It closed at 42.81 on Friday, so I think it's got a little bit of room up to that trigger. I think futures are still up 1% right now, so obviously there's a gap up potential in play here. But I think really that 43.40-ish area is going to be the level I'm watching. And then I think 44.50 is the bigger level overhead. And then the 45 psych level would be kind of the move I'm looking to trade there. So if we were, going to have a super bullish day tomorrow, I think the 45 psych levels in the cards for Roblox. And we'll see if we get an increase in volume here on the daily chart. Because, you should see buyers step back in here and maybe see volume comparative to, this or something like this if we were going to break out of this bull flag. So that's going to be one of the names I'm watching kind of on the growth side of things. And then a name that I'm already swinging right now, I alerted this swing entry in my channel on Friday and talked a lot about it on the live voice in the Discord. But I do own the 1118 180 calls on Pepsi. And this is also this is a pretty, I think, solid example of a pattern that I like to trade, and I've talked about a ton, is this post-earnings, post-earnings beat, high volume move up, and then declining volume consolidation. And it's not the cleanest consolidation. It's like this was obviously kind of a tough candle, but on much relatively lower volume than what took it up. So while that's not the perfect candle, it's I think still somewhat, kind of like a messed up or hard to read bull flag here. And so I'm watching 173.50. Sorry, I keep being a little finicky with the charts. It's hard on TradingView to get the look I want. But okay. Yeah, so I'm watching 173.50. It cracked it a little bit on Friday afternoon into close. Pulled back under it. I believe the high on the day was 173.69. So that's kind of the spot I'm watching on PEP. I think that this post-earnings pattern is very attractive here. And also KO, Coca-Cola, is reporting earnings on Tuesday after the bell. And so, especially following a Pepsi earnings beat where they beat by $1 billion on revenue. I think that with Coca-Cola reporting on Tuesday, these two names could be pretty hot tomorrow, because it is a Tuesday earnings pre-market for Coca-Cola. So I think tomorrow morning, I think can be the start of kind of a pre-earnings run-up for both of these names. So I'm going to be watching Pepsi right around that spot. And then in terms of mega cap tech, Microsoft reports on Tuesday, and I love this chart as well. And I think that this 250 spot can kind of act as a magnet. And we've got 2 full trading days before Microsoft reports. So I think the possibility of Microsoft making this move from 242-ish, the high on Friday was 243. I think if we can pop through that key level area on Microsoft, which will probably be a gap up with if futures hold at all, I think we can first make this move up to 247 plus. And we'll probably really here. Let me add a few key levels here. Let's see what 245. Yeah, I would probably be looking towards that that 245-ish spot. I could see us gapping up to that area maybe. So we'll see on that. But I do love really this look on Microsoft, because you see the increased daily volume, a nice bullish engulfing healthy candle. And with 2 days left to report before earnings, we can see maybe a contract IV run up. Some of these contracts have been trading really generously to the upside. And there's, I mean, I think a few people in the Discord were trading calls and puts on Netflix. I think Shoei was too, maybe. And the puts were green and the calls were green also. So a lot of kind of IV run up scenarios to potentially catch this week with all of those names reporting. I think it's definitely worth looking at that weekly overview and maybe, seeing a few companies that you've traded previously, you're familiar with, and you like their chart, maybe trying to catch that IV run up and see if that can play at all. So I think Microsoft, and also I was very interested in Apple. We'll see if how big the gap up is, or if we gap up at all, really. But I think Apple is an awesome chart. You see this nice increase in volume on the daily, and then you see this volume profile gap really up to 150. And I talked on last week's, I believe, Sunday night video, that there's really 3 boxes to be checked for me when I'm making a watch list. And it's an increase in daily volume relative to, the few sessions prior. And we have that. And then we have a candle close at or near highs. So it's my second box is checked. And then we have this volume profile gap. So those are really the 3 boxes I'm going to need checked when I'm making my upside watch lists are increase in volume, close at highs or near highs, and a volume profile gap. And Apple is showing me all 3 of those things. So I think I'm definitely willing to play this, depending on, again, where we gap up. I'm not really super interested in trading this 149 into 150 area, but if I could catch it, down here in the 147s, maybe on a 148 break, I would be interested. So just to give kind of, I think, one chart I'm looking at for potential downside that I think could be, if we see some news and the market turns on a dime, or some earnings really don't shake out very well, I think that Rivian, RIVN, is going to be something I'm going to keep an eye on for downside. It's not like I think that Rivian's going to tank. It's just if we do see the market kind of turn on a dime, maybe some negative headlines, I think that Rivian could be a potential downside setup, because really you have this really ugly daily candle on pretty solid selling volume. You also have that here. So these are the 2 biggest volume days we've seen in the past couple weeks on Rivian, and they're both pretty, they're all 3 really ugly sell candles. And so then you see this declining volume pattern here over the last 5 days off of this sell candle. I think that this really could be, potentially a hard to read kind of sloppy bear flag on Rivian. And so if I do for some reason need to short this week, I really don't want to. But if I do, I think that Rivian could be an opportunity here, especially with a fade off of this 32 this 32 psych level volume shelf that it closed out on Friday. So I think those are all kind of the setups that I'm going to be focused on. Potentially, it could be adding more in pre-market in the morning, but I know Mans put out his kind of written version of his Sunday scan of what he's going to be looking at tomorrow. I mean, definitely probably Square Coin, some of those names he trades a ton, with Bitcoin popping tonight right now. So I know he's putting that out, and we'll see what this week brings. It's so crowded with earnings reports. There's so many big companies reporting that it's kind of hard to be perma bull, perma bear. But as we sit right now, I love all of the charts, and I love the upside opportunity we could be seeing really probably really the next 2 weeks. I think that there's an exciting window the next 2 weeks to maybe retest, back up to 390-ish, probably 383, not to be greedy. That would probably be a more realistic zone. But I don't know. I think that 390 could be in the cards here, right up around here. And that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. Obviously, there's a ton of earnings to shake out, a lot of stuff going on with the bond market. So impossible to, fully predict that. But that's what I'm thinking that might lie ahead of us over the next 2 weeks. So that's all I've got for tonight. Like I said, Mans will be posting kind of his thoughts and what he's looking at in the morning. And hopefully we can have a good week. I'm 95% cash, I think. I've got 5% of my portfolio in those Pepsi 11-18 calls. So that's all I own right now, and I'm ready to attack. Hopefully Apple, Roblox, potentially Microsoft, and also SPY. I would like to trade SPY this week, especially through this 378, 380 ish area here. Really 378, 379 ish. You can see we got a lot of room through here. So that's where my head's at. I think it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks. Hopefully a little more trendy and less chop on the daily than we've seen in the past week. And I'll see you guys in pre-market on the morning call.